Yo, it's the Master Connector coming at you, live and direct. This ain't AI, it's that real human connect. Yo, welcome to the Master Connector show, where the real ones pull up and the energy grow. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we live. LinkedIn and YouTube, where the real ones vibe. Started back in 2020, now the movement legit. Hundreds of episodes, and we still never quit. Steve Spiro, the Master Connector on attack. Rob Genovese, the brand builder, got his back. Two introverts, turned masters of connection. 28 years deep, built on trust and direction. No fake networking, no pinch slapping attacks. We build real relationships, and that's all facts. Famous guests, athletes, authors, TEDx flames. Military leaders elevating the game. Pack 30 minutes, but the impact hits strong. Jump in the comments and connect all show long. Be authentic, stay others focused, have grit, build community strong.
Yeah, that's how we are.
Be authentic, stay others focused, have grit, build community strong.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovese, and I want to thank you for joining us today live as we go live every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn and also YouTube. And you can catch the replay. If you don't catch us live, catch the replay. You might be catching it right now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you listen to your most fantastic podcasts and shows. We are there, and we want to thank you. And if you are unable to join us live, look, there's somebody that's going to be on our show that you need to hear, and they're coming up. You know how you find them? Go to masterconnector.show. You'll see the whole roster of guests that we have coming up, because Steve is the Master Connector, and he's meeting new people every single day, and that's no exaggeration, every single day. And he's bringing amazing guests to help us level up. They bring their stories, their experiences, their skill sets, and they share them with us so that we can all become better. A rising tide raises all ships. Really excited about today's show. How to avoid self-sabotage. And I can so relate to this. I was scared and fearful and petrified into my 30s as a man, if you can believe that, really just a man-child. And I would start to experience little instances of success, and then it would pull back. Why? Because I was scared. I was sabotaging the progress that I was making. And listen, I don't even know if I fully understand how to not self-sabotage, because I still do it sometimes. But we're going to have a great guest today who's going to explain it all and clarify it and give us amazing clarity around what we're doing to go forward. So listen, if you have any questions for our guests or for us, put them in the comments. We want to get your questions answered, because that could be the thing that's holding you back. So don't hold back and put those questions in the comments. But let's get to the show. We're all connectors, but there's only one Master Connector. So let's bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
Robbie G. Hey, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. It is amazing. And I see Andy Akers, a good friend of mine, loves the rap. And I don't know, April, looks like she was bouncing around to the song a little bit. I don't know if she was just,
Very catchy.
Yeah, it is, I go around, I'm singing the song in the shower. Just kidding. But anyway, great to be on here with you. What's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. Just coming in I don't know, like coming in like right out of flight. It's I flew in, my computer was having issues, but here I am. It's awesome. And what's interesting, right, is we're going to talk about self-sabotage. And I think we have a lot of us have a tendency to do that to ourselves. And, me and Rob, for a while, we're part of the same business team. And we had, we heard the power of spoken word and what you speak. And the fact is that we program ourselves. A lot of times, it's funny because you hear people say like, I'm really bad with names, or whatever, and whatever you speak, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will. So be careful about what you speak. But like Rob, I was clueless. I was picked on and bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic, and I just didn't have a clue. But I want to ask a question. I want to start with this. And what if the biggest thing standing between you and the life you want isn't your circumstances, your competition, or your opportunities, but it's you, right? It's you. And that's what it was for me. I mean, listen, when you're bullied and you're picked on, you're really ridiculed as a kid, it's very easy to hear that programming and think that represents you, and it doesn't. right? And so, self-talk is a big part of it. I was at a speakers retreat, incredible 16 group of other amazing people that I was with in Cincinnati, Ohio for 3 straight days. And, just hearing positive words. I had a chance. I'm doing a talk for Northwestern Mutual in a few weeks, and I got a chance to do a 10-minute segment of that particular talk. And just being around people and their encouragement. And yes, they gave some constructive thoughts, but it was amazing. And just getting around the right environment, so crucial. I know we're going to talk a lot about it. April's going to bring some incredible value about what are some ways to avoid self-sabotage. But, Rob talked about it before, this stranger that all of a sudden now is meeting 3 people every day, stranger danger. And while I was away, Rob, you'll get a kick out of this, but I was talking about stranger danger when I did part of that talk, and they're like, what about stranger engager? So I like that, go turn stranger danger to stranger engager. But yes, and just having the ability to just do something that is so outside of your comfort zone, but because you're getting around the right people, you're saying the right things, you're putting the right stuff in your head. In what that's been for me has been a big game changer for me in terms of my life. And hopefully you'll be able to, if there's something that is holding you back, hopefully this episode, this what you're hearing today is going to do the trick for you. So before I have Rob bring up the new guest, a great friend of Rob and I, Coach Glow in the house. Welcome, Coach. Great having you on there. And yes, remaining teachable. Absolutely. And she's a great example of that. Not only is she's a teacher and a coach, but she's teachable as well. So appreciate you. If you're ready to have my guest, Rob G, my show host, bring on our guest, type in, let's go. Robbie G, pass it to you, buddy.
All right, let's go. April Garcia is an international business advisor, performance coach, and founder of the PivotMe Academy Mastermind. She has worked with companies ranging from startups to billion-dollar organizations, helping leaders increase revenue, optimize operations, and eliminate the self-sabotaging patterns that limit growth. April is also the host of the PivotMe podcast, where she explores the mindset, strategy, and decision-making required to perform at the highest levels. Known for her direct approach, April helps high performers get out of their own way and build businesses and lives that actually work. Please welcome to the show, April Garcia. What's up, April?
Woohoo! Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be here today, guys.
Great to have you.
It is an honor to have you on here with us for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great stuff. And was I right? Were you bouncing your head for the music? Was I?
You were absolutely right. If there's music on, I'm bouncing. I might try dancing, not super skilled, but what I lack in skill with dancing, I make up with enthusiasm.
I love it. Yeah. I'm really good. I have like one character move in
you
dance.
only need one, Steve. Just do it over and over again.
Mine is the white man overbite.
Oh, yeah. Famous. It's classic.
Anyway, let's dig right into it. Yeah, I know our community is really excited to hear from you. So, a lot of times we're talking about kind of, what we do in terms of our mindset, and sometimes we get into certain patterns. And, I know there's the neural pathways that create grooves in our brain. So I want to talk about patterns with you a little bit and get your take, April, on this. So how do you recognize when we're actually sabotaging our own successes?
Yeah, great question, Steve. So first, let me just say you are, because almost all of us are sabotaging our own success. Whatever level we're at to get to that next level, there's some degree of sabotage that's standing in the way. You mentioned it earlier, I believe, Rob, where it's not the economy, it's not your staff, it's not your partner. These things are all contributing factors, yes. But at the end of the day, the thing that gets you to the next level is the upgrade of is sort of optimizing yourself. So let's just assume, we're doing it. We're just trying to determine right now, what degree are we doing it? And here's how you know you're doing it. When the future that you say you want and the activities that are showing up each week, there's a disconnect, right? Like, I want to have the health of an athlete, but you're not working out like an athlete would. Or I want to double my revenue, but you're not doing the things, the sales calls, the large proposals, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what the thing is, but when you see that there's the gap between not what you want, but the behavior that you're demonstrating and the thing that you say that's most important to you, that's when you know you self-sabotage. And I want to add kind of a caveat to that. It's important to know high performers, which I'm guessing if they're listening to your guys' show, they're probably high performers. We sabotage differently than other people. Our sabotage doesn't look like scrolling on our phone or watching Netflix for hours. We do a very good job of making our self-sabotage look like productivity, efficiency, what I call white knighting. I'm going to go help somebody else. I'm going to see if my sales team needs some help. Let me see if my admin sent out that proposal. We have very creative ways, and we can go into those ways. It's really important to know them so you can recognize when you're doing them. But we've got really creative ways to make self-sabotage look like something else.
I love that, man. You know, it's funny because I absolutely would have, because it's been a while since we spoke, but in my mind, self-sabotage is that really overt stuff, like, you know, like the self-talk we're talking about. But your point is really, I mean, there's so many good nuggets there, but you talked about something that reminds me, I think Rob and I heard this when we were, you know, in the same circles a lot, was, you know, when you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're actually telling your brain you're not worthy of success, because it's like, well, look at that. You said you were going to do it. You didn't do it. What is that? You know, so I don't know if that's kind of along the lines of what you're speaking.
It is. And I'll just maybe add a reframing of that. I think your brain has told you that you're not worthy of that thing. You haven't told your brain. So behind all of these tactics, if I can, I'll just go back a little bit. So previously I was more of a traditional business advisor, really big businesses. I taught sales teams all over the world, did government negotiations, all this cool stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of tactics. And you could go in and say, oh, your sales aren't good. Your sales team's only making 15 calls a day. They need to be making 25 calls a day. Or, you know, you say you want these high value clients. Why aren't you pitching them? You can change tactics, but it's usually not that we lack the knowledge of what we need to do. So I can go in and say, oh, you know, why are you pitching $10,000 clients when you can be pitching $100,000 clients? I'm just giving an example for argument's sake. I can say that, but it doesn't really move the needle, because then we're leaning on things like discipline or motivation, which come and go. Instead, there's a belief driving why you're pitching smaller dollar clients. And we need to understand that. It's a form of self-sabotage. We're really good at justifying it though. But you need to understand that there's a belief that's driving that behavior. Change the belief, and then you'll pull back from that self-sabotage.
I love it. We got a lot of good comments coming in here. And first, I want to welcome back, as always, the amazing Yolanda Chin, who is an incredible community member. She says multitasking become a subtle form of self-sabotage. Coach Glow says, hey, what you do and say what you do and do what you say. I love that. And then I don't know if Doria has joined us before, but great to have you on the show with us, Doria. But so true. I am a master at self-sabotaging myself.
Yes.
Be careful of those words.
Yes.
I still think that's important to watch what you say, but I hear you, and I appreciate the transparency and the authenticity for sure.
I want to jump in there for a second,
Go
because
ahead,
it made me
Rob.
think
Sure.
of something. And, you know, April, I want you to weigh in what I'm about to say, because I don't really know how it figures into how you coach on self-sabotage. And you made a very big distinction about high performers versus everyone else, right? There's the very obvious, I doom scrolled on TikTok for an hour and I blew the opportunity, the window to call people or whatever. It's very obvious, right? But then there's the subtleties, the things that masquerade as productivity, but they really don't do anything to hit the goals. So it made me think of productivity. I mean, accountability. And when Steve's saying, you know, we were taught, you know, you kind of get hung by the tongue. Whatever you say is what you're going to get eventually. And I remember I decided to, when I built my business, was building it, I decided that I would only teach what I did. Because if I said anything that was true by evidence of many other people in my field, but I didn't do it, I wouldn't say it. Because if I say it and I didn't do it, I feel like a fraud. So there's this accountability to ourselves. Is this what we're talking about? Is the accountability a part of it?
It can be. I find that the accountability often to others is more valuable. Because again, our biggest constraint, particularly, let's say and I'm not sure your exact audience makeup, but let's just say you've got people that are running like service-based businesses, consulting businesses, particularly under 10 million. I'm telling you, your chokehold is this 3-pound organ right here. So you can argue with your brain, doesn't always work well, or you can build an external accountability. There's lots of ways to do that. And that can be far more effective than just trying to hold yourself accountable. What I find is that people then, we're really good at beating ourselves up. So we take out the bat. Why don't I do this? I know better. How come I always do this? And that doesn't always bring about the right actions. But if instead and there's a process I can walk you through, but first comes the awareness of this is my particular flavor of self-sabotage. Many of us have like mastered all the flavors of self-sabotage, but there's 4 main can be exponentially helpful, Rob, is when you say, okay, here is, say, these 2 ways that I tend to self-sabotage. And dear business partner, spouse, assistant, ops manager, someone else build in, it might just be a friend. Here's the 2 ways I do it. If you see me do it, call me out on it. And I'm going to give an example just to take it out of kind of the theoretical into the practical. So let's just say, for example, you have a guy that's running a consulting business and there's 4 employees and he's about to, I just had this happen this week. That's what's top of mind. He's about to put a proposal together and it's the largest deal he's done in his career, right? Now he's been doing it for 15 years. He's a seasoned guy, but he'd never pushed his price point that high. Here's what happens in situations like that. We start redoing our proposal document. We start, well, does my homepage look good enough for a dollar amount? Is this something familiar? Like we start thinking about, well, I think I need new headshots before I move that decimal on my proposal document. Like these are forms of self-sabotage, guys, that we could argue is just, most of us know not to say perfectionism because we know that's a bad word. Instead, we'll say something like, I have high standards. So he's going to say, I have high standards. I want to do X, Y, and Z before I send out the proposal. So if he knows that's his particular way that he self-sabotage, he can, talk to his business partner. Hey, ask me if I've sent out that proposal yet. And if you come into my office and you see that I'm redoing the website or I'm, ordering new headshots, call me on it because I need to get that out. Because these are sort of the more creative ways that we self-sabotage, but building in someone knowing how you do it can help you get over it.
That's huge. Guys, I want to just, for those who are joining us midstream here, we're talking about how to avoid self-sabotage with April Garcia, and great conversation so far. So this is amazing. And I love the accountability. Not that it doesn't take the place of, but I've been using ChatGPT as my accountability.
Yep.
She's actually got tasks that I call her tasks to do, helping me keep me on task, but also to bounce some things off of too. So, but I want to keep the ball rolling. I mentioned earlier today that I was at a retreat in Cincinnati with some amazing people, and the people that I was surrounding myself with just raised me, and they gave some honest feedback on my talk, which was helpful, right? And it was with a great heart. So I want to talk about circle. So community, type in #circle. So April, here's a question. And if you want to cover some of the stuff we were just covering, you could tie it in somehow. But how do you know when the people around you are quietly capping your growth?
I love this topic. So this is actually my next book. It's on design versus default peer group. So let's just define the two real quick. So the default peer group is established by geography. I live next to them. These are my neighbors that I barbecue with. I work in the same building. My kids play with their kids. So that's kind of friendships and peer groups out of convenience. And we all have them to some degree. That is very different than a design peer group where you're purposely putting yourself in proximity with people that are going to level you up. So, and I want to get back to your point, but I just really want to define. When you're clear on where you're going, you're like, okay, I got a vision of my life and business 3 years down the road. We do an exercise called My 3 Why, and you get this vision of where you're going in 3 years. The first step is not head down, helmet on, I'm going to bust my butt to get there. That's where we tend to go to. And that's often how we built our businesses up to this point. There is a far easier way that doesn't require nearly as many hours in front of a laptop or nearly as much discipline and motivation. It's in there, but not nearly as much. And that is, who do I know that's already there that can help me level up? And I don't just mean from the obvious, networking perspective or, well, I want to be rich, so I got to have rich friends. It's something much more than that. It's that our peer group, if you're familiar with the Pygmalion effect, it's sort of, we will rise to the level of expectations of the people around us. So whether that's we're in a class, whether that's our friend group, that's if we go back to our hometown and we're hanging around with our family and we start to act a little different and we're kind of surprised. We need to level up the people we're in because we will perform better. Now, but there's challenges with that. So you got to have the courage to be in rooms and stay in rooms that you feel not ready for yet. I had a client recently tell me, she made a joke about one of my other clients, and she said, I wish I got invited to a billionaire's house for the weekend. And I asked her point blank, Katie, would you go? I know you just said it. You were joking around, but would you actually go? If you got an invite this Friday to a billionaire's house, would you go? Here's why I asked her, not because there's anything wrong with Katie, but because most of us would be too afraid. We wouldn't call it that.
Yeah.
We would be too afraid to be in a room. And it doesn't have to be about money, guys. It could be fitness. It could be you want to prioritize your fitness. Yeah. You're afraid to hang out with your neighbor that's a marathon runner. You've got to be around people that normalize success and where you're going, not excuse the behavior from the past.
I love that.
I'm not saying you have to get away from those people altogether. I'm just saying feather in more people that are talking about your future and they mirror where you're going, not where you've been.
I love that. And that's exactly why I said yes to this retreat, because I was going to be around some people that are way ahead of me on the speaking side of things. And I'm like, I need to be there. And I felt like I belonged, even though, yes, it was intimidating. Yes. And also, probably the hardest thing I've had to do in a long time is give that 10-minute talk in front of my peers and they're actually peers plus, if you want to say that, because they're much further along in the career. But I love that. Rob, I don't know if you want to say something, but I just want to point out what Yolanda has to say here. So she said, having high standards isn't inherently self-sabotage, but it can be self-sabotage when those standards stop you from moving forward and finishing things.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I just define what self-sabotage is from my lens?
If we could
let's roll back a little bit. So self-sabotage is when, and we'll argue it's something different, but it's when we're protecting ourselves from the discomfort, like an immediate discomfort at the expense of the future that we say we want. So let me explain that. There's something that will experience discomfort. Maybe it's you going to the event, Steve, and it's, peers plus. Maybe it's, Katie going to hang out with a billionaire. Maybe it's running with a marathon runner. We are protecting ourselves about that, against that discomfort, but it's at the expense of our future. And most of us will go, well, I'll just read a book on it. I'll just listen to a podcast. I'll just research. A lot of us feel like we have to be ready to be in the room, but no, you just have to get in the room to be ready. You can engineer your success by simply being in the right rooms.
I love that. I want to say this, and then Rob, I'll let you speak. In the martial arts, people would be like, well, I'll get to training. I got to get in shape first.
Yeah.
Think of myself, you're gonna get there and get in shape. But I would say to them, that's like saying, well, I want to get clean before I get into the shower. Like what? Anyway, got to get in there. Just get in there. Rob, what do you got to say?
I've been tossing this thought around whether or not I should even bring it up. And I actually saw that we have one of our questions might be about this, Steve. And it's about comfort. And, just a little context, it was only 11 years ago when I have 4 kids, my wife and I have 4 kids. We were on government assistance. We were so broke because we both lost our jobs at the same time. We weren't making that much in those particular jobs to begin with. We had just moved into a home that we were renting, and we were just finding it was a big struggle. So we were on government assistance, food ending up at our door at Thanksgiving, electricity being shut off, water being the whole thing, like anything you can imagine outside of being homeless, we went through. And though we kept good attitudes, it was still really tough to think, what are we going to feed our kids? Like, how are we going to feed them next week? Because we didn't know. And now we've come out the other side. My wife and I left our jobs. We opened businesses, and it's a complete 180. Like, so now, and I don't want any rocks thrown at me, but like, we're very comfortable. And so can comfort be a thing that sabotages your further? Because me personally, my wife's a goer. She just machines through everything and goes no matter what. I'm not like that. I'm like, I need reason, I need purpose, I need why, I need something to strive for. And all those years I strived to get out of the poverty. And now that we're out, I'm kind of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And I kind of have a higher purpose, but it's not driving me. What do you say to the comfort that sabotages your future higher success?
Yeah. So comfort can definitely do that because, again, I'll come back to my definition.
Hashtag comfort, by the way. Anyway,
there we go.
Right to that question. Thank you, Rob.
So I want to be clear that comfort is very much a part of self-sabotage. But just because you're comfortable, if you're happy with where you are, and I'll say if you're happy with where you are, that's not a bad thing. Most people are spending their whole life trying to find that. But I want to make sure that we're not using the term comfort as I am avoiding the discomfort of going after something more. Rob, if you look at your life and your business and you're like, yeah, this is what I wanted. Like I feel fulfilled. Now, I do want to point out that fulfillment is often found in the progression towards something. So if someone's not progressing towards something, they have a hard time feeling fulfilled. That's why someone has done something for a long time and then they're like, it just doesn't feel the same. They probably don't feel like they're progressing. But if you're comfortable, that's not a bad thing. That's a fantastic thing. But I would push back. If I was coaching, I would say, okay, let's talk about that. So your 3-year vision looks a heck of a lot like what we're at now. And if the answer is yes, fantastic. If you're like, well, I guess I could this and this and this, then we're using the word comfort to avoid, I'll say, the discomfort that you'd have to withstand going after something else. And now I do want to add one really important piece of the identity behind the belief system behind self-sabotage. The way that you're self-sabotaging, maybe this is related to comfort, maybe it's not, it's protecting you from something. So I said about the client this week that didn't want to put a larger dollar amount. I mean, it was substantially larger than he usually charges. He could argue, well, these things, which are all just stall tactics. And I should talk about creative avoidance here in a second. But at the end of the day, I could tell him what he needs to do. Just send the darn thing. Just add a 0, send it over, and we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, there is a belief that he has that's in the way of that. And it might be, am I worth this much money? Will they judge me for this much money? Do I have the wrong degree? Do I not have a degree? So with Rob, my question would be, do you have a belief that going after the next level of success will somehow challenge some of the comfort, stability that you have now?
That's a question, Rob.
Interesting.
You're on the hot seat.
I mean, I don't feel that way, honestly, because we have multiple income streams, so it's not threatening the comfort.
Okay.
But I'm also not progressing as fast as I was when I was. It's funny, like when the fire was there under my butt to get moving, like it's either do or die. And so we did. I went. Now I just I put in a good day of work.
Yeah.
But I'm like, maybe I'll knock off at 3:30 today.
Yeah, interesting.
And again, that's okay. I just want to be clear. That's okay if you really are like, yeah, this is what I wanted. As long as we're not using that as a way to, well, I actually do want more, but I'm afraid. So it might be, I ran a business before, and once we hit X dollar amount revenue, it failed. Sometimes we'll say we're comfortable, but it's because we're afraid of being on bigger stages, hitting a higher revenue goal. Maybe it's someone else's expectations being too high, and could we deliver? And this may not apply to you, Rob, but just for someone who's listening right now, if you're saying I'm comfortable where I'm at, there's nothing wrong with that as long as that's actually the truth.
Yep, absolutely. Wow. Well, this is amazing. We are right at the bottom of the hour, so but this could go on another hour and a half for me, from my perspective. By the way, welcome Russ on our show. Russ is one of our incredible sponsors of the show. But let's wrap things up. I hate doing this because I really rather have you hear from you, but I want to just give you the opportunity to maybe a closing thought and best way for our community to reach you. What would you say?
Yeah. So let me do the best way to reach you. I'm the April Garcia on all platforms. So probably try the website, which is theaprilgarcia.com. We actually have an in-person event coming up in September. And it seems like we would greatly benefit from each other's connections and audience.
Yes.
I'd love to see people get ahead. That's something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
The closing thought is you probably are self-sabotaging, because we all do. And it's not about beating yourself up for, why do I do this? I know better. What I would invite you to do is get curious about what belief is behind why you don't do it. Not just a tactic. Why am I not calling the higher level prospects? Get curious what you're believing that is producing that result, and work to change that. You mentioned neuroplasticity. You mentioned changing your brain. You absolutely can. You just got to get curious. And it does help when you have accountability, because the people around you, the right people around you, can really point out that's not true. And you need to let that belief go.
Love that. We appreciate that. Well, thank you again, April. We're going to have you go in the green room, but thank you for blessing our community and blessing. I can only speak for me personally. You blessed me. So thank you again. So we're going to have you go in the green room. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
So much.
Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Appreciate you. Yep. Wow. Rob G,
Steve,
right?
just when I think that a show we did a little while ago was probably one of the fastest shows ever. This one took the cake. I was so obsessed with what she was saying. I was taking it all in.
Unbelievable.
She's a very high level, very deep thinking, performing person. Clearly,
No
so
doubt.
great to have her on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you as well, buddy. Thank you. Well, listen, if you like that show, hopefully it won't be as quick, but join us next week with Terry Williams. He was actually one of my TEDx. He shared the stage. We shared the stage together. Amazing. Episode 275, August 26th, Finding Your Life and Rhythm with Terry Williams. Go check out his TED Talk. Incredible talk for sure. And if you're interested in being a sponsor like our amazing Russ Hedge, it was right here. Join us. Go to the masterconnector.show website, and you could also see up and coming episodes. You could see what it takes to be a guest on the show. It does take a lot, and we have about a 9-month waiting list, but go check it out as well. And thank you for everyone who came today and participated. And special thanks to April, of course, and my main man, Rob G, who I just appreciate so much. He covered for me last week while I was at the retreat. So, but I want to close with the story. You know, after years of rejection and struggle as an actor, Sylvester Stallone was so financially destitute or desperate that he sold his dog. Yet he refused to give up on the screenplay he'd written for Rocky or surrender the opportunity to play the lead himself. That decision changed his life and reminds us that sometimes the breakthrough comes when we stop allowing circumstances, fear, or other people's expectations to make our decisions for us. You know, identify what's holding you back, make decisions you've been avoiding, keep moving forward, and be a beacon of light. God bless. We'll see you next week.
Yo, welcome to the Master Connector Show, where the real ones pull up and the energy grow. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m.